We've got a $900 billion valuation crashing headfirst into a $27 million personal security moat and base models literally hallucinating goblins. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Day's Explainer. Look, if you've been writing code, shipping products, or even just keeping an eye on the AI space over the last 24 hours, you already know things are moving at absolute warp speed. We're seeing a massive foundational shift happening right now, directly inside our development terminals. We're talking brand new models, insane hardware optimizations, totally bizarre training bugs, and a massive real-world backlash. So let's just dive straight into this and look at the absolute battleground that the software development lifecycle has become.
Right off the bat, there is a massive architectural shift happening. The recent drops of Code and OpenAI's Codex CLI just proved that the terminal is absolutely the new frontier for engineering productivity. But, they take completely different approaches here. With Codex CLI, it's all built for fire-and-forget autonomy. It uses OS-level sandboxing, stuff like seatbelt and landlock, to actually run tests and iterate in total isolation. You literally just step away and focus on high-level architecture. Then you've got Claude Code, which is powered by Opus 4.7. This is more of an interactive partner. It gives you a massive 1 million token context window that proactively reasons through complex refactors across your entire repository in real time. Seriously, it's no wonder Claude Code just hit a 46% most loved satisfaction rating.
But honestly, the metric that is turning everyone's head right now is the sheer raw performance of Codex on the autonomous side. 77.3%. That's Codex CLI's current success rate on autonomous tasks, and it's leading Terminal Bench 2.0. As an engineer, that number is just mind-blowing. And the open source community? They are completely eating this up. Codex CLI just crossed 75,000 GitHub stars and 700 releases. Why? Because we developers are demanding transparent, hackable infrastructure. We're running away from what we call the developer tax. That hidden cost of staying tied to closed-loop proprietary IDEs when the terminal is suddenly handing us 4 times better token efficiency.
And this perfectly illustrates how we're actually unlocking that efficiency. We are officially ditching stateless prompts. Welcome to memory persistence as a protocol. Instead of starting from total scratch every single time you ping the AI, Claude Code now uses a file called claude.md, and Codex uses a layered agents.md system to store your repository contracts. It's essentially giving the terminal a persistent, context-aware memory of how your specific codebase actually works. And the best part? Utilizing these files is slashing manual developer corrections by up to 40%. It's a total game changer.
All right, part 1, the agent ecosystem, Mistral and Google. Let's shift over to the cloud and see how all this builds into the broader agent ecosystem.
Let's start with Mistral. Number 4. Guys, this is an absolute hardware optimization flex. Mistral just dropped Mistral Medium 3.5. We're talking about a 128 billion parameter dense model that combines instruction following, complex reasoning, and advanced coding. But the truly insane part, they optimized this beast to run on as few as 4 GPUs. Getting a model of this scale to run on just 4 GPUs makes it incredibly efficient and seriously accessible for real-world tasks.
And Mistral is taking that efficiency and using it to power their new remote AI coding agents inside their Vibe ecosystem and leash out work mode. You can literally kick off a complex, multi-step coding task straight from the Mistral Vibe CLI. And because it's remote, the whole thing runs completely asynchronously. You start the task, walk away, and the AI takes over. It orchestrates the tools, does the deep research, writes the code, and then it hooks directly into GitHub to execute the edits and even open a pull request. It even shoots you an auto notification when it's done.
Meanwhile, Google is practically begging you to build these agents on their stack. They just dropped a $90,000 prize pool hackathon for developers using their Vertex AI and Gemini 1.5 Pro platforms. Plus, every startup gets $500 in cloud credits just for showing up. They've laid out 3 specific tracks. You can build an agent from scratch using tools like LangChain or Crew AI. You can optimize an existing agent for production, or you can make an agent enterprise ready for the Google Cloud Marketplace. Now, if you want a piece of this, you're going to need a hosted project URL, a code repo, and definitely pay attention to this, a 2 to 3 minute demo video. They want functional agents ready to ship, not just weekend prototypes.
Moving right along to part 2, silicon bets and logic bugs. We've talked software, we've talked agents. Let's move down the stack to the hardware and the foundational logic layers that actually make this all tick. So let's talk silicon. If you want to run these massive models, memory is the ultimate bottleneck, right? Well, reports just surfaced that Anthropic is in early-stage talks with a London-based startup called Fractile to become their 4th inference silicon source, joining the ranks of NVIDIA, Amazon, and Google. But listen, this isn't just about diversifying the supply chain.
This is a massive architectural bet on what's called DRAM-less inference. They're actively trying to fundamentally break the memory bottleneck that holds back AI scaling.
But as we aggressively scale that logic, sometimes the foundations get a little strange. OpenAI just published a fascinating deep dive with arguably the greatest title ever, Where the Goblins Came From. I mean, no joke. They exposed a subtle training bug that literally turned a version called GPT 5.5 into a fantasy-obsessed engine.
While it sounds completely hilarious, this actually brilliantly illustrates the core mechanics of reinforcement learning, or RL. In RL, models learn through reward signals. It's basically mathematical feedback telling the AI, hey, yes, do more of this, or no, definitely do less of that. What this bug showed us is how just a slight misalignment in those reward signals can accidentally hijack a model's entire logic framework across generations. It's a pretty stark reminder that you absolutely cannot master the future of AI without a deep, deep respect for the foundations of algorithms and logic. Okay, part 3, real-world friction, society, Hollywood, and geopolitics. Let's zoom out for a second. We've talked code, we've talked hardware. Now let's look at what happens when this incredibly fast tech stack violently crashes into the real world.
Just consider the disruptive power Grok just unleashed. They shipped custom voice cloning that integrates right into their text-to-speech and voice agent APIs. From just a single 1-minute audio recording, you can clone a voice to narrate audiobooks, run your entire customer support line, voice video game dialogue, or even preserve speech for individuals who are losing theirs. The capability here is undeniably powerful.
But right as that technology drops, look at the immediate pushback. Hollywood's elite just aggressively banned AI actors and writing from the Oscars. They are intentionally carving out a strict humans-only zone for acting and writing to fight back against the rise of fake AI actors and posthumous digital resurrections. Though it's worth noting, behind-the-scenes AI tools will still get a pass. It's a direct clash between these crazy digital cloning advancements and traditional artistry.
And we're seeing that friction extend right into geopolitics. Right now, there is a sweeping U.S. bipartisan bill aiming to ban government use of Chinese ground robots to cut sensitive tech ties with Beijing. But here's the massive reality check. U.S. firms still rely incredibly heavily on Chinese-made components deep down their supply chains. Analysts are pointing out the friction here. A ban that reaches too far down the supply chain could actually cripple the very U.S. robotics firms it's trying to protect.
Which brings us to part 4. The billion-dollar security backlash. This is the ultimate climax of today's explainer, guys. We have astronomical financial wealth pouring into AI, crashing headfirst into a severe and honestly sometimes dangerous public trust deficit. $900 billion. Just let that number sink in for a second. Word on the street is Anthropic is eyeing a round priced at a staggering $900 billion valuation ahead of an expected IPO later this year. If that's true, that would leapfrog OpenAI's massive $852 billion valuation, making Anthropic the most valuable private AI lab in the entire world. The wealth being generated here is just historically unprecedented. But immediately juxtapose that wealth with this number, $27 million. Fresh proxy filings show Meta just allocated a record $27 million strictly for Mark Zuckerberg's security mode in 2024. That is a 35% increase, and it absolutely dwarfs the combined personal security budgets of the leaders at Apple, NVIDIA, and Microsoft.
And listen, this isn't just an isolated incident. It's a massive industry-wide trend. We are seeing a 4x security tax hitting the elite. Tesla's spending on Elon Musk's security just more than doubled, hitting a $4.8 million spike. Following arson attacks at Sam Altman's residence and physical breaches at OpenAI, these firms are literally moving away from traditional bodyguards and over to specialized security units integrated into daily life. As these companies take on classified government contracts, the founders are quite literally becoming high-stakes targets for both physical and digital threats.
So why is this happening? Here is the root cause, the trust bottleneck. Recent polling shows that only 26% of registered voters hold a favorable view of AI right now. That is an incredibly low number. This physical backlash and the skyrocketing security spending isn't just about personal safety. It's the direct result of managing massive social pushback. People are deeply, deeply concerned about labor displacement and mass surveillance. And that lack of public trust? That is the real bottleneck for the entire industry right now.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We have terminal workflows writing code completely autonomously. We have 128 billion parameter models running on just 4 GPUs. We're seeing near trillion-dollar valuations.
But at the exact same time, we have Hollywood bans, geopolitical supply chain traps, and founders spending tens of millions just to protect themselves from the public. Are we seamlessly building the future, or are we just desperately managing the friction of disrupting society faster than it can actually adapt? Let me know what you think. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep shipping, and I will see you all in the next one.